The Wednesday Week is sponsored by Michael Constantine Wealth Management. We bet you can't find a financial advisor closer to Hillsborough Stadium.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to another special TWW Lockdown Live. My name's Dan Fudge, as always, and with me tonight we've got Ash, Ben, and Stevie. And down there in the corner on your screen right now is hero of 1991, absolute Wednesday legend. The pioneer of the famous 80s haircut that happened, and he kept it going for so long he did, and now he's cut it off. We should have put a wig on him. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Phil King to the show. How's it going, Phil? You all right?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I wouldn't say I've cut it off, Dan. I think it's just fallen out over the years. It's a nightmare.
Phil, thank you for joining us, and as it is, you're part of our celebrations, as it were, of the 1991 Cup final. It was 30 years ago, but Ben normally does his own work because the players sometimes that we get on, Ben wasn't even alive to have had seen, and listens to us wax lyrical about players from your generation. Playing. So Ben, I'm going to come to you, Ben, and then and we're going to fire some questions at you from Facebook from some of the listeners as well.
No problem. I'm going to try and turn this up if I can somewhere. Bit technically illiterate, I am.
No worries at all.
Oh, there we go. Look at that. It's good. I've got rankings now. There we go. Perfect.
Brilliant.
Right, so let's go from the very, very start. And you started your career at Exeter. What was it like doing I'd imagine at that time your YTS and stuff like that?
Yeah, started in Exeter about 1985-ish. Was in them days it was YTS schemes. I was the only apprentice out of a group of 20 lads, which was unheard of at the time for a small club like Exeter. Bristol born, thought it'd be easier for me to go down to Exeter rather than trying to break into Bristol City, who were in Division 1, and Bristol Rovers, who were a decent side at the time. So that was my thought process, was to go off to Exeter, and it might be an easier path to first team football. Yeah,
and I'd imagine at that sort of time, I know times have changed and it's quite easy for the youth players now compared. Did the sort of, first year pros and stuff like that make it tough going through?
Yeah, listen, then it was an initiation period. We used to divot the pitch after games, used to paint the stadiums, clean the toilets, clean the boots, pick up the kit, wash the kit for the first team. Nowadays, it's health and safety. You can't do any of that. It's there is no apprenticeship, if you like, and the money that they get thrown at them. I think I was on £26. Funny enough, the YTS lads were on 26.25, which I wasn't happy about. But there is no kind of initiation now. Or an apprenticeship, if you like. It was in them days, the pros, you respected the pros. Ultimately, they were like where you want to be where they are, kind of thing. But it was tough. Don't get me wrong, there were long hours, but it was strict. But like nowadays, the youth team players, or certainly the first year pros, get paid so much money. It's, in my opinion, it's kind of danger money, really, because what are you going to do with it? It's probably going to lead to gambling, drink, drugs, women. Not a bad life.
You make it sound dreadful.
You can waste the rest, can't you? You can waste it on a mortgage and stuff like that.
Let's go to the rest. It was a good initiation, and obviously, I was only there a short period. I was there as a schoolboy. Then I became my current wife at the time, or my girlfriend. We split up, so I decided to pack football in. Funny enough, and because I was upset and devastated, and Exeter decided to make me a professional at 17. So they took me into, and then she got back with me, and then we sort of she ended up being pregnant, as you do. So come the end of that season, Torquay United came in for me, which is just down the road, and it went to a tribunal. Funny enough, and the fee was £3,000. After 25 games, they would pay another £3,000 to Exeter. So.
Wow.
You probably know what I'm going to say now. I played 24 games, and the manager called me in. I was flying up. I was scoring goals, left wing, talk of the country. This lad at Torquay is coming on. He said, "Oh, we can't play you tomorrow, Kingy." I said, "Oh, you're having a laugh, yeah?" So I just scored 2 goals back to back. He said, "No, we can't." I said, "Well, what have we done wrong?" He said, "Well, there's nothing wrong." He said, "We ain't got £3,000. We can't play Exeter C." So, just play. And I said, "Oh, what am I going to do then?" He said, "Well, David Pleat at Tottenham, obviously David Pleat we know, is coming for you. They want you to go up there for a behind closed doors game with the likes of Vinnie Samways, Sean Close, Razor Rudder, you know, in that sort of period. And I had an absolute storming game, stayed up the weekend, watched the Tottenham Arsenal derby, come back and they put a bid in of 60 grand. I thought, well, I'm on my way to Spurs. You know, it's just, and the next minute I end up at Swindon Town. no idea what happened there.
I'm not a taxi driver, but that's a proper wrong turn.
So
sorry, Dan. I was just
go on. They put the bid in.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I was going to bring that up. What was that? The thought process, or the what happened, or do you not know, or was it?
Listen, when you asked when you were a young kid, you know, I didn't know football existed outside of, you know, past Bristol. You see it on the TV. It was just one of them. You're a young lad. I had a wife. We got married. Shotgun wedding. Had a small baby. You know, all before I was 18 years of age. You know, so to go to Torquay and then up to Tottenham, and then up to Swindon under Lou Macari, it was just a whirlwind. I went on loan initially for a month, and then came back, and then obviously Lou, they had a couple of iffy results, so Lou coming and bought me permanently, and I have to say it was probably a move that stood me in good stead, because Lou Macari was a complete disciplinarian, you know, fitness fanatic. We never saw a ball Monday to Thursday. It was run. You know, we had lads there like Chris Kamara, Colin Calderwood, Jimmy Quinn, international Ireland, Steve White. They were doing 45-second 400-meter laps, and I think the world record was about 42, something like that, 43. It was we were just so fit. We didn't play good football. It was Route 1, but we were successful because of the fitness standards. And I just remember being last. I was quite quick, but last in every long distance run that Lou put on. But when you got to know Swindon, you found some shortcuts. So I was, I tended to move myself up the ranks, not through ability, but through cheating, really. But Lou Macari was great. We got promotion that year against Gillingham in the playoff final. Tony Cascarino went on the following year, finished 12th. The following year, we finished in the playoffs again and lost to Crystal Palace. We won 1-0 at the county ground, and then lost 2-0 at Palace. Ian Wright and Mark Bright scored the winners. They went on to get promotion. The following season, I played 12 games, and Lou had gone to West Ham, and we played Brighton away, and I went over on my ankle on the Wednesday night. We won 2-0, doing quite well. And coming the next day for treatment, Ozzy pulled me in, and he just said, "Kingy, the club needs to raise some money. So we've agreed a deal with Ron Atkinson from Sheffield Wednesday. He's in Cheltenham as we speak, waiting for you to go and see him." I was like, what do you mean? I've just come in for treatment. He said, "Well, you need to get some money up together. I've agreed a fee. I think it was 400,000.
Wow.
Jesus.
Wow.
So I just went, "Oh, okay, well," he said, "you can borrow the club car, a little 1.3 Astra Merit. Big Ron's waiting for you in Cheltenham." You know, so I went, "Oh, okay." Jumps in the car, no mobile phone. I just sort of said, "Can I phone the missus on the club phone?" Said, "I'm off to Cheltenham, got to meet Big Ron."
Sorry, Phil. Was it Cheltenham Racecourse?
No, it was. Well, with Lou Macari, he did like a bet, to be fair. It was in a hotel in Cheltenham. You know, so we just went up, walked in the room, and he's there, Big Ron. You know how he is, big tin lid flipping up in the gold, and you know. And he come over, he shook my hand, and broke it, and said, "Oh, you know, Mr. King, I'm building something at Sheffield Wednesday. I've got a few players I'm looking to bring in. I'd like to bring you in." I spoke to Lou Macari and said, "I'm thinking about buying the boy King. What do you think?" And Lou said, "Well, if I didn't have Julian Dix at West Ham, he'd be here with me now." So Big Ron said, "That's good enough for me," because Julian was obviously a quality player as well. And he said, "Do you want to play for me?" I shit myself and said, "Of course I do, Mr. Atkinson." He said he offered me a 3.5-year contract, and I signed on the spot. And I was in Sheffield.
So all this got turned over in the space of like 3 hours.
Yep. That's a similar. No agents, no nothing. Just said, I think I was on £300 a week at Swindon, and he doubled me money to £600 a week.
Do you know what, Phil? Actually, that's really interesting, because we had John Newsom on last year, and he was telling me around this time, Ron was negotiating a contract with John, and he didn't want to sign because he'd only offered him something like 325 quid a week.
Yeah.
And I bet this is about the same time. It's like 89, isn't it? It's probably the same summer. So yeah. So you know, John Newsom went, now sod that, went to Leeds and financed Starfield wages. So that's nice, isn't it?
Yeah. it was obviously money at the time. I think it was £50 increments every year. Do you know what I mean? So it went up to 650, 750. And they give me a nice Ford Sierra 1.6L. Tell you what, I looked the bee's knee, injure locks in that. Let me tell you.
I'm out the window.
I remember turning up. I drove up that night. Actually, I think it was. Turned up for training in the morning. Went in to see Smudger Smith, the physio. Had an ankle like that, black and blue. And I'm on the treatment table, and Alan Smith, he great physio, England physio at the time, said, "There's no way you're playing Saturday, son." I said, no, I think it was, I drove it Thursday, that was it, and went in Friday morning, and he said, "There's no way you can play Saturday." And I said, "It's killing me, I can hardly move it." And the doors flew open, Big Ron comes in. "How is he then, Smithy?" He said, "You've got no chance for Saturday, Gaffer." Looked at me, "Do you want to play Saturday?" I said, "Yes, Mr. Atkinson." And I played on the Saturday, I strapped it up. I just strapped it rigid. So it was basically fused with all the strapping I had on. And I remember Nottingham and Forest away. And great debut, full, but Wednesday fans again. I think I got an 8 in the old Sunday People. Went over on the ankle in the final minutes, and I just remember in the back of Big Ron's Merc with my foot up, and he had the telephone in the console where you pick, and he phoned the wife and said, "He's in the back of my car with his foot up. He's had a good game today. I'm dropping him home. So make sure you look after him, get him an ice bath and all that palaver." It was just brilliant. And that's how it all started. Obviously, that season then, although it turned out to be horrendous in the end, he signed some real quality. I think, my best pal is John Sheridan. He's at Swindon at the moment, having a nightmare. But so he signed the same day. Then he signed Artsy, Willow, Paul Williams, Danny Wilson, Roland Nilsson. I mean, come on. Best right back we'll ever see in our lifetime at Sheffield Wednesday.
What a crop of signings that is, I've got to say. The names.
Trevor, I mean, he already had potential there with Dalian and Paul.
Yeah.
Like Steve McCall. There was loads of talent already within the camp. But Ron just managed to bring in a few good players, and we started to just play some tremendous football.
What was that like, Phil? Obviously, you've just said you've mentioned probably like 5 or 6 absolute legends of Sheffield Wednesday. What was that like? Obviously, at that era, did you know that it was going to be a successful time? Did you feel it, or was it like, these are good players, we've got something, we'll try and do what we can, or you just gelled with everyone? Because it just seemed that it was just a team that gelled. It really did.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. I was so young, I didn't really know anything. I was just amazed by the size of the stadium. What I had in my favour, I was quick, and I'd had a great fitness level from Lou Macari. So we did a Rotterdam run, I think it's called Rotterdam, and then we did a 6-mile run. I finished 5th, and I would be last by miles at Swindon. So I had a good fitness foundation. I was quite quick, very attack-minded. To be picked with like the Carlton Palmer, John Sheridan combination. I mean, all you got to do is give it the shares and make a run, and it puts on your toe. So you knew you were surrounded by good players, but the camaraderie, it was just incredible. And obviously, as we go on, you were part of that. You felt as a player the warmth of the team, and then the warmth from the team to the stands and back. Do you know what I mean?
We certainly got a glimpse of that. I mean, I can't believe it's been 5 years since we were all at the Magna Centre in Rotherham with you guys and the team together. I think the only notable absentee of that team, I think, was John Arts, because obviously he lives in Washington. You know what I mean? Yeah. And as nice as Washington, as nice as Rotherham is, I don't think you're going to leave Washington to go and have a night out in Rotherham. So we noticed on that day during that event that the camaraderie was there. We've had John Arts on the show, and he kept saying that John Sheridan called everybody a crisp packet. I believe that his PG friendly way of calling everybody a C-bomb. Is that what it is?
Yeah, well, he was my roommate, Ches, and a couple of stories probably go into a bit later. But
Tell them now. Tell them all now.
We'll just sit back and listen.
Yeah.
We'll do a Stevie.
That season, obviously, you know what happened. We went on to get relegated, and the other side of the town, I'm not sure what they're called, ended up getting promoted. I just remember being devastated. And I know Luton stayed up. I think they had to win something like 4 out of 8 games, and we had to win, I don't know, 2, 1, and we ended up losing. They stayed up, we went down, and we went to Magaluf the following morning, like you do. Not Magaluf, sorry, Port Banús. And Luton were in the same hotel as we were. Can you imagine? Carlton Palmer wanted to rip everybody's heads off. We was all on a downer. I think Dalian had just been transferred to Real Sociedad, I think, for 1.7 million or something. What a talent he was, by the way. He could have been the best ever. He had everything.
Gutted. Yeah, gutted.
Oh, but so I just remember. I think what it was. I don't know if it was then or obviously Ron whispered them immortal words, didn't he? He pulled us all in and he sort of sat us. I think it was in pre-season. We did the holiday, then went off, and then we came back for pre-season. And he sat us all down in pre-season. He said, "Look, lads, a lot of you lads are internationals. You can leave." I think we were in Italy. I can't remember where it was. My memory's shot, to be fair. And I just remember him saying, "I think if we all stick together, we're building something here." And every player said the same thing. Said, "No, Roland could have gone. Ches, Kirsty could have gone. There's no question about it. Quality players. It could have moved on, and they didn't. So we stuck together. And I think that it was just a bond. And honestly, you probably spoke to a lot of ex-Wednesday players of that era, and I moved on a few clubs, and I've never experienced the camaraderie of the players, the wives, the fans. If you cut me now, we bleed blue. And I think you asked anybody that played for Wednesday would say the same thing of that era. It was just special. And you guys played a massive part in the people that are listening tonight. It was just incredible. Well,
we were only 10-year old at this point, King. You know what I mean? We had no idea the disappointment coming in the next 20 years. Just me. But I tell you what. So we were speaking to Roland Nilsson last week, and he said a very similar thing about going down, and he was very concerned about his international career. Yeah. And I think the Swedish international coach said, "Well, of course I'm going to pick you, clown." So and he didn't seem unhappy about that. And then the emotion in his voice of when he left, and we were talking about when he went back to Sweden and all the rest of it, it was really quite an emotional moment for him to talk about. So it was very clear that the camaraderie was there between the lads. Yeah. So, and then he went on to have a terrible World Cup, I think, as well. And then he got an ACL injury and came back after about 4 months or something like that. So we're now in the second tier. You guys have decided to stick together. How did you feel that season was going? Did you about 2 weeks in? Did you think we're going to piss this now? Well,
you know what I mean? Let's rewind it back to pre-season. So we go to Italy pre-season, right? And we're in a hotel. We're in the same hotel on the pre-season as a team called Genoa. So we would train, and then we come in, and the gaffer said, "Right, we've done a good couple of days training. You can go out tonight, lads. You can go out. We're going to go out. We've got a little bar down the road. I've put back for us. Apparently, it's buzzing on a Friday night. We're going down there. We've got a curfew of midnight. So, okay. So he goes down there at midnight. As we're walking out the hotel, you've got all the Genoa players sat playing cards in their tracksuits, glass of water, and we're all going out with our disco shirts on, strutting down. And they must be looking at us thinking, what the hell's going on? It's pre-season. It's so vital to a professional football. You get a good pre-season in. So anyway, he goes to this bar, and I'm telling you, it was rammed. There was fanny everywhere. I'm thinking to myself, I know I'm married, but I'm having a little look. You know what I
mean? window shopping, it's called, isn't it? Window shopping.
Apologise for the language, people listening, but so as
they're used to Dan, you're all right.
We're all steaming drunk. So it gets to 12 o'clock, and the lads are saying, Nigel Pearson, there's no way we want to go home now. He said, "You're right." I said, "Get over and ask the gaffer. He's over there on the old peak champagne, the big time Charlie. Go and ask him, can we have another hour?" So he's gone over. You can see him chatting with the gaffer, and all the lads are looking to see what body language. He's come back. He said, "We've got another hour, lads. We're on. This is pre-season." So it gets to 1 o'clock, and I said, the lads are going, Pierce, go on, off you go again. Have another word with the gaffer. He comes back. He said, "No." He's told us that's the end of the night. We've got to go home. So we all go home, And we're in this old-fashioned hotel, massive ceilings, and we're all on the corridor having a few beers. But unbeknownst to us, John Sheridan and Cotton Palmer were in reception. And what had happened, Big Ron had come back and he said, "Hey, Sheridan and Palmer, get to bed. I told you it's a curfew." And Shez, being the quiet, unassuming, not very aggressive Irish Mancunian he is, said, "Oh, it's all right for Tricky Trev then, isn't it, Gaffer?" Because Trevor played in Italy, if you remember, and he was still out.
Yes.
And he says, "Sheridan, get to bed." So we've gone up the stairs, and we're along the corridor, and we're steaming drink. We were having this shots of grappa, it was called, and we were absolutely, everyone was bladdered. Anyway, we look round, and Big Ron's coming up the corridor with a towel wrapped around him. And we're thinking, oh, shit, we're in trouble here. So he's come up, and as he's got there, he's hit Shez on the back of the head. He used to have this habit of slapping your head like massive hands. He hit Shez on the back of the head. Shez fell over, slid along the floor, and banged his head on the skirting board. He's gone silent. So we've got up, and Shez has gone, started to undo his buttons. He took off his shirt. He said, "Hold me disco shirt." He said, "Come on then, Tarzan. Come on then, Tarzan. Let's have it. Me and you right now." All melee broke loose in this corridor. And we're thinking, honestly, it's absolutely going mental. So me and Roland, I was sharing a room with Roland that for that trip, got Ron, and we marched him back to his room. Roland that side of me. He said, "Come on, Gaffer. No, Sheridan, I've had enough of him. I ain't putting up with that. You can't treat me like that. I'm the Gaffer. He's out of order. So we get him in a room, silence. All of a sudden, you heard these pitter-patter of feet. And I looked at my door, Shez, in his Sheffield Wednesday quite tight shorts, nothing else on. He said, "Shez, what are you doing?" He said, "Kinky, I'm all right. I'm just going to see the Gaffer. Just going to apologise, out of order, whatever, All right, next to bang, knock on the door. "Come on then, you fat bastard." And I'm thinking to myself, "Oh, no, Shez, what are you doing?" And he's walked back at the corridor. Shez said, "I know you're all listening." And we thought, that's it. So we come down in the morning for breakfast, and it was silence, as you can imagine. Not a word spoke. Shez sat in the corner and got left behind. So we go training, and Big Ron sits us all down on the field. Before we went training, he said, "Right, I ain't having that. I'm getting rid of Sheridan. I'm sending him home, and I'm getting rid of him. That does not happen on my watch. Out of order, bang, out of order." And then it went silent for a second, and then a few of the lads went, "Can't do that, Gaffer." "Well, why is that then, son?" "He's the best player we got." Without Shez, it don't happen. He makes us sick. He is by far and away our best playmaker. He's just incredible, gifted foot. And to a man, Big Ron's gone, "Oh, okay, that's fair enough. Okay." And we trained. And then we get back to the hotel, and Shez is in the corner like a little lost lamb at dinner. And we go in, we have the meal, and then we sort of finish the meal, and we all sit up, stand up to go out. And Big Ron says, "Sheridan, want a word?" So he pulls Shez back in. We all leave the room, and then Shez obviously. I'm telling you as Shez telling me after what he spoke to Ron. So he said, "Shez, what went on last night?" He said, "Son, out of order. I do like it, mind you. I do like a player who's got a little bit of bite about him." He said, "I sat the lads down. I was going to send you home. And he said, "I sat the lads down, and I said, I'm going to send you." And all of it, he said, they all said, "No, you can't." He said, "But two of the cheeky bastards wanted to get rid of you." And to this day, we do not know the two players that said to get rid of him. And that was it. Done and dusted. Shez was all forgot about. Shake hands, and that was Ron to a T. Get on with it. And as you know, Shez went on to be, absolutely a god. But that was the way Ron was. So obviously that season, like you said, we were relegated. It was quite ironic because I was sort of the lower paid spectrum. I was from Swindon, and we were on £400 a win. And it went up £100 every time you win. I think if you remember, the first 10 games of that season, we won in a row. We was on about £1,400 away at Millwall. We was 2-0 up at half time. I was like, what am I going to spend on? All of a sudden, Nielsen, cruciate ligament. Pearson carried off, I think, with an ankle problem. We ended up getting beaten 4-2, and the money reset back down to 400. I was absolutely. That's how Roland was. I was gutted about losing.
That was a new Sierra gone.
Yeah, that's it.
How was Big Ron in training? Because we've spoken, like we've said before, we've spoken to quite a few ex-pros now at that era, and I think we all agree that there's some cracking stories at Big Ron at training. And so, what's your take on Big Ron at training?
It tends to be the players that we've had. I wanted to pull at this thread because we've now had John Arks, John Newsom, and Roland Nielsen say that Nigel Pearson kicked lumps out of Ron Atkinson, and like I said, I spoke to Roland last week, and the most we've got is the 5-a-side in the gym hall, and Nigel Pearson smashed him into the wall.
He was, well, first of all, Ron thought he was the best player in training.
Sorry, Phil. Sorry. So you've just reeled off a couple of minutes ago some of their names.
I know.
And you've said that. And no disrespect to Ron, obviously he's given us some great times.
Yeah.
He doesn't come across as the best player.
Do you know what his nickname was as a player?
Oh God.
The
Tank.
Yeah, I think that explains his ability to play football, don't you? So he was not the best player in training, but he used to think he come out with the swagger on, shorts pulled up, I'm the best player, give me the ball and all this. So I can sort of jump forward to when I went to Villa and we had a session now. I'm going to tell you that later on, but we had a session in the gym one time and he picked the team and the ball sort of was 50-50 and Nigel Pearson, oh my God, Pearce was so aggressive. What a centre-half leader. I think 20 goals from centre-half one season. Absolutely incredible. The ball's coming out. I'm looking at it. I'm going like this, thinking he's getting closer. And he hit Ron, and he went into the wall. And honestly, I thought he killed him. He hit this wall, and I swear to God, he got up, and his hair had not moved an inch. Expecting it to be all over the place like this because he hit his head on the wall. He was just sat there like that, and he got up. And he sort of shook himself down. And he said, "Good tackle, Pearce." And I thought he killed him. Honestly, it was unbelievably aggressive. And that's just the way Ron just had. He just had the knack. He could be a funny so and so if he weren't doing it. There's a couple of stories, and I'll jump forward to another story when I went to Villa. He picked a 5-a-side team, right? And on that 5-a-side team was myself, Paul McGrath, Steve Staunton, Ray Houghton, Andy Townsend, and Dwight York, and him, right? And on the other team was sort of, the other players, the other 7 players, and we got beat. So he sat us down and said, "What a pile of crap, lads." He said, "It's 7 against 7. How can we get beat?" And I think it was Ray Houghton said, "Well, 6 against 7, Gaffer." And he's gone, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold on a minute. So you're saying I'm the weak link, are you? You're out of order, you are. And he made us run about 4 miles down to the end. He just genuinely thought he was the best player.
Why do I get the vibes like like Brian Glover's character in the movie Kes? Like that's what I feel like he's like. Like, no, you can't be them, son. There'll be a clash of colours. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Casper, stop climbing up.
He was just. Hey, don't get me wrong. He had a great squad. And you're only a successful manager because your players are good players. He had good players. We had a good work ethic. We had the support base behind us was incredible. It was just a recipe for success. And obviously getting relegated, although it was as bad as it was at the time, it may have toughened us up a little bit for the following season. We went on to finish 3rd and go on the cup run where there's a couple of replays, obviously Brentford and Swindon and Derby, the John Arts wonder goal, Coventry, play Chelsea in the semi-final. And again, the press are saying how lucky we were to beat them 5-2 on aggregate. Pathetic. We absolutely battered them 2-0 away and 3-1 up. It was 1 on aggregate. So it was just, he just had the knack, whatever it was, he had good players who loved each other. We supported each other on and off the pitch. There was no real big time Charlotte at the time. Obviously, players went on to be mega stars in the end, but at that time, we were all just playing for the shirt. You don't see that much nowadays, do you? But for you guys, it was just an enjoyable period, and Ron just kept everybody grounded. If you were winning, you could virtually get into Josephine's every night of the week as long as you played well on that Saturday. Do you know what I mean? He was that sort of lad. He was fantastic.
Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go to Facebook now. We've got a few people, and a lot of it's just gushing praise. To be fair, Kingy, like, yes, pal, one of the best players. So we've got Vic, we've got Greg. He says, "Kingy, do your thingy." Graham says, "How's your mum and dad down in Dorset?" bit weird, but it means it in a nice way, like, you know what I mean.
Who said that about my dad?
Graham Butler, a guy called Graham Butler, has said, "How's your mum and dad in Dorset?"
We're telling me dad died 10 years ago. So
you made me laugh that your dad died.
I know, right?
Sorry, apologies.
You're all right. That's why he said it for me. My dad passed it 2005, actually, it was, and my mum's still alive, battling on well. Because she made the cake at the cup final that you remember seeing in the dressing room. My old mum, she's still making cakes.
Bless.
Made me one yesterday, can't you tell?
Bless her. And then we've got Bob Hamilton says, "Get your boots. You could probably do a job for us now." We've had a lot of that, to be fair. In fact, you on one side and Roland on the other, I think will actually be game changing for us right now. And then Martin wants to know if you're still in the pub game.
Yes, still in the pub game. Opened the pub for the first time since December the 25th, Monday. 12th of April, and we're looking to been shut since then. We're open again tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Obviously, it's outdoors, weather dependent, so we've been lucky with the weather. But yeah, I don't think about playing now. I've had a full hip replacement. I've got a dodgy knee, bad ankle, but certainly some, me and Worthy down the left, Roland and Archie or Danny Wilson, Shez and Palm in the middle.
Don't.
It's been 30 years and it still upsets me now, Kingy. And then Graham who asked about your parents said, I randomly remember bumping into Kingy down at Splashdown Water Park in Poole when I was about 10 years old. I was stunned. Chatted him at the 150th anniversary dinner at Ponds Forge. Great guy. So you got a big fan there. And then there's one here that I'm interested in, Kingy. So it says Lee Brown. He's listened to the show for like 10 years. Like he's one of our, and he said the walk from the Dolphin led by Kingy in 2005. Yeah. What was that?
Incredible, mate. Honestly, chills as I'm talking to you now.
This is going to be good.
I just knew. Wednesday got relegated the season before into League Two, wasn't it? Which is League One.
League One, it'll be.
The other game of the season, they drew Swindon away. So. The police pulled me in and said, Kingy, obviously we know that there's been a bit of Interpol saying ex-Sheffield Wednesday connects. There's quite a few fans coming down. I said, I think there will be. So as it turned, he said, what do you want us to do? I said, well, just do your job, but they'll be good as gold. They'll be good as gold. So I said, what I suggest is you drive by the pub when they arrive, just let them see a bit of it. Maybe put an officer on site if you like. But they'll be good. But unbeknown, they estimated there's about 1,700 turned up at the pub. It was incredible. So, the whole of it's like there's a co-op in the little club around the corner. Everywhere sold out of beer. I think I took 10.5 grand in about 3 hours. Bearing in mind, I think the weekly takings were about 5. It was. I think that was the time I got a singer in, a lad who played Loken. He started playing Daydream Believer. Cheer up, Neil Warnock. They just went mad. And then the cop said, what are you going to do? I said, well, what about if I march them down to the ground? That's a good idea. So they cordoned off the roads. And so say you cut, I don't know, I'm just trying to work out a distance, ratio. If you come out the pub car park, turn left onto the main road, about 3/4 of a mile, you turn left onto the road that takes you to the football ground. They hadn't left the pub, the back of the queue. And that was the whole road, about 40 deep across the road. It was incredible. And I was like, doing down, I was jumping up, doing headers and that. And so we get to the ground. I'm in the away end with Sheffield. So they're going Kingy, singing Phil King. So I thought, geez, I got a business in Swindon. I better get out of it. I'm going to get flipping lynched.
all I can see is the end scene of Green Street where they're walking around.
Honestly, I left at half time. I thought I'll just be sensible, do the right thing. I got back and I had phone calls that night from Swindon fans saying, you Judas, we're going to put your windows in. I said, listen, if you've got a problem with me playing for loving one of the clubs I played for, if you want me to go out with a beer for you Swindon next week, Sheffield Wednesday are in town. It's one of my loves. Do you know what I mean? Probably my only love in many ways. But if you're not going to let me pay respects to them, it's ridiculous. I said, come and put the windows and do what you want. I said, okay, I'm going to do it anyway.
We've got 1,700 people who come down it by the sounds of it, Kingy, to be fair.
Ridiculous. I just said, if you want me to come into the town centre of Swindon with you guys next week and have a beer, I'll do it. You were one of my clubs. It's not Bristol Rovers, it's not Bristol City or Oxford United. It's Sheffield Wednesday. They're 200 miles away. It's not, but it went off okay. There was no trouble. A lot of the fans come back after the game because boiling hot day. Actually, Wednesday won, but Swindon battered them. I think they went 3-0 up. Or was it? I think it was, and ended up 3-2, I think, in the end. But roasting hot day, but fantastic scenes,
I tell you what, Phil. I've just thought actually. So I work in the pub game myself, and we know that coronavirus has been a big impact on businesses such as ours, and judging where Sheffield Wednesday are in the league right now and what league Swindon Town are in, you could pay for coronavirus in one bloody fixture in an away game at Swindon next season, couldn't you? There must be part of you going, "Come on, Wednesday, come on, bloody."
I'm a little bit in between because Wednesday look like they're going to get relegated, and if Swindon can stay in this division, there would be a meeting. I prefer Wednesday to stay in division in the Championship, but we're in such a poor state down here at Swindon with Shez that Lee Powers, we're in court. They've been charged with financial rate, so we're going to get a massive fine, if not demotion. So if we get relegated this season, we're 4 points adrift in the bottom. I think we're second bottom, 23rd. So it's a good chance we're going to go down anyway to League Two, and with the demotion, it could be at the Football League. So,
Christ, there's always somebody worse off than yourself, then, isn't there?
Yes. Listen, honestly, in an ideal world, for me personally, if Wednesday come and play at Swindon next year, let's do it in a cup or something. But it's a poor state at the moment.
Shez been in? I was going to say, surely he must have been in touch if he's in town.
If I was to tell you that, we'd be making COVID lockdown rules, wouldn't we, Dan?
Of course.
Daniel, come on.
Of course. That would be woefully inappropriate.
That would be. You're right.
So we're halfway in now. And go on, Ash.
Sorry, a social distance.
Social distance.
Over the road.
Over the road.
All right, Shez. Yeah.
Now, obviously, we're halfway through the show now, so obviously let's get to Sheffield Wednesday. Steve, bless you. I know you've been having internet problems down there. Are you all right, pal? You go.
I'm good, honestly. It's just amazing to be able to sit here, and I'm a little bit older than Dan and Ash. I'm a lot older than Ben, so it's just listening to you talk about that sort of time has just been fantastic. You speak with such a passion about the club, and I'm harking back. I was there the year that we went down, Forest. I can remember Pierce sticking one in. I was sat on the cop in 1990 sort of thing. Obviously, we've gone on to it, and I'm not sure we're going to get to the 91 final. Just going into, we will get to the 91 final. Just sort of the build up to getting through into the League Cup, and the fact that we were getting back into it and getting promotion that season. How did you find that?
It was brilliant. Like I say, we were on a roll, weren't we? Good players again. The momentum of the cup run, and there's a real belief from the pitch to the stands and back. And I think the whole city, believe that we could go on and do something this season. We had some good players, and obviously get to the cup final was the icing on the cake for any player. To go there in the division below against Man United. I've looked at the team today. Funny enough, to say that Brian Robson, captain. Ince there. Hughes, Pallister, Bruce, Irwin. It's just they probably felt they just had to turn up. Well, that wasn't the case from our sort of understanding. But do you want me to tell you how it happened?
Absolutely.
We'll just sit back and you can have the rest of the show, please.
Right. The game on the Sunday, and we went down on the Friday. Players coach in front, one coach behind, to the hotel called the Royal Lancaster. We checked in. Big Ron said, right, suited and booted, in reception, 7:00. Don't be late. We all came down. In the coach we went, as couples, off to his favourite restaurant in London. And we're sat there, we're thinking, it's Friday night, 2 nights before a game. All of a sudden, he sort of got his glass and ding, 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 ding. He stood up, he said, right, lads, my favourite restaurant. The only protocol tonight is no one is in bed before me. And with that, the doors opened and trays of pink champagne came out. Have a great night. Drink what you want. Eat what you want. 2 nights before a game. We're not even 2 nights before a game. I got back to my hotel room at 4 a.m. on the Saturday morning. Unbelievable. Then on the Saturday, we woke up, we had a bit of breakfast. He took us from that hotel to a different hotel away from the wives. Game face. A little bit of training. Pasta, beans, water. Rehydrate. Blah blah blah. Early to bed. game time. In the morning, you come down for breakfast, air all over the place, and all of a sudden you hear, "I like dear lad, I like King, I like dear Kingy lad, I like dear." It's flipping the old comic, isn't it? You know, the breakfast with it, Stan Baldwin. I like Kingy. What's going on here? So he starts cracking jokes, and he's with us then, all the way on the coach to the stadium. You've probably seen footage of it with him on the mic. And the abiding memory for me of going to Wembley is when you turn down Wembley Way. The old Wembley Way was, I don't know, what would you say, half a mile long, maybe a mile, 3/4 a mile long?
Yeah.
It was a sea of blue and white. You could not see a red shirt anywhere. It was incredible. You know, just chilling up now, thinking about it. So you turn down there and you think, wow. You know, you look at it and there was just a buzz. You get into the stadium, and I just remember Trevor Francis saying, "Look, Kingy, don't wave to your family. Don't, wave to the missus. Don't wave to your daughter. You know, your mum and dad's in the crowd. I've got my aunties, my uncles, everybody, and his dog's there." I said, "What is that?" He said, "Well, it just saps you. It just takes your energy out of you. Don't do it." And I thought, piss off, Trevor. You know, it's my biggest day of my life. You know what I mean? I'm going to wave to my family. And I have to say he was right, because after 20 minutes, I was knackered. Absolutely knackered. You know, we've got changed. We've gone out. And the game started. It was quite a frantic pace. We weren't there just to make up the numbers. I thought we were the better team, if I'm honest, on the day. And a lot of our players, man for man, were better than theirs. Roland Nilsson, 4.5 months out with a cruciate ligament. Mark Lee Sharp out the game.
I think Lee Sharp is still having nightmares about that, is he? I'm sure he's got to be.
I compare sporting dinners now, and I have Lee quite regular, and he remarks on that, about how good Roland was. And just to put it into context, I did my cruciate and I was out 18 months and never recovered. Wow. 4.5 months later, Roland's playing in the cup final and Mark and Lee shot. That's just one hell of a...
He only came back to action like a week or two before that game, didn't he?
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. So, anyway, so we win the game. Shez scores a goal, pinging off the post.
Just won it.
Get back to the Royal Lancaster, and then it begins the party. Oh, my God, steaming. We had Paul Carrick, as you know, big Wednesday fan. He sang the song, "Come On, King, You Do Your Thing," Two Nigels Hard As Nails, Little Sturdy Never Fails, and all that. And I was the only one who knew the song. So he said, "Come on, King, get up on stage and sing it." So I'm singing with Paul Carrick, lead singer of Mike and the Mechanics, Squeeze, and what, Tempted, looking back over my shoulder, singing this song. That Barmy, Army, Atkins, I think a few fans actually gate crashed the night and got in. Atkins and Barmy Army. The following morning, we come down. I got to bed at 5:30. We come down, I'm absolutely hanging. And we go over to the Hyde Park opposite, just for a little walk in our tracks. This year, right, Kingy Worthy, we're going to do little doggies to the tree and back, line up in your... And I'm thinking, is he taking the piss? We just beat Man United yesterday. I'm knackered. I've been on the piss till 5:30, and he wants me to do doggies. So I get squats at that, and go. And I go to the first tree. As I turn around, he's doubled up, and all the players are doubled up like that. I said, "Are you having a laugh, Kingy? What are you doing, you muppet?" Just wind up. So he said, "Let's have a little walk around the park," he said, "and we'll get back in. We'll have a few glasses of champagne on the way home."
You've got golden locks flowing in the wind.
Just to do a quick one on that, jumping forward a couple of years with Trevor, he did exactly the same thing, Trev. Wives coach, players coach, same hotel, same restaurant, no alcohol, pasta, chicken and beans, onto the same hotel the following day without the wives, rest early, and we get beat by Arsenal. So they say about man management and should you drink alcohol, and do you know what I mean? I know the personnel was slightly different, but it's just trying to put into two approaches in styles to a cup final.
So what you're saying then, Phil? What you're saying is, if you'd have been out on the piss till 4 a.m., would it be Arsenal?
Well,
yes.
Simple maths.
Yes.
The only team that could have beat Wednesday that season, I think they would have beat anybody else in the cup.
Cracking team. Yeah.
They were superb. But no, the cup final with Ron. Obviously, then we come back, and he whispers them immortal words that ring in my ear to this day. I'd be mad to leave a support like a lot. They're the best in the world. And we got on that open top bus, go down to the town hall. I sing on the town hall steps again, Barmy Army. And the following day, he signs for bloody Aston Villa.
Yeah.
I think if he would have stayed, we would have gone on to win the league next year.
You reckon?
I'm convinced of it. Absolutely convinced of it. We finished third, if you remember.
Yeah. With
a new manager, a couple of new faces. I'm sure if Ron stayed, Trevor was a great player. He didn't have what Ron had as a manager. So I'm just convinced we would have won the league that season. I really am.
That's something that, you tend to hear we've heard it from a lot of players around that time, that the sort of man management from Trevor Francis, he clashed with, especially a lot of the bigger personalities as well. He clashed.
Yeah, definitely. I felt like because I was doing a new sort of contract, and he pulled me and offered me a contract. It's my only regret at Wednesday. He offered me a contract, and it wasn't. He said first choice, offered me 3 years, and it was less than Nigel Jempson, Gordon Watson, who were playing in the reserves. So I said, "How does that work? If you want me to be first choice left back, surely you've got to put me in line with at least the same, or And he said, no, that's all you're getting. And then I ended up chucking my toys out the pram, being an idiot, and snapped my cruciate ligament in training. My own fault, not concentrating, trying to be a bit sulky. If I could turn the clock back now, that's the only thing in football I would probably change, because I should have just signed the contract, let your football do the talking. You were in a great team. You played for England. You got represented the England B team the year before, cup final. I got supporters player of the year that year, 1992. So, yeah, that's the biggest regret.
Do you reckon your international career would have been, had it not been for the injury, do you reckon you'd have been in and around the international team a lot more?
No, 2 words, Stuart Pearce.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
Tony Dorigo, there was 2
Yeah.
and then there was 5. Myself, Julian Dix, John Beresford, Andy Barlow, I think was at Oldham, and I think a guy called Wayne Jacobs was at Bradford, I think. And there was sort of 4 or 5 sniffing around for those if they ever got injured. But Piercy was just, he was number 1, wasn't he? So, but Trevor did fall out. He fell out with Pierce, Palmer, fell out with Warhurst, fell out with Hursty. Told Hursty,
don't just list the names, Phil. Tell us the stories. I mean, who was in the wrong?
You don't get to where. But I mean, the Hursty one, apparently, Man U offered 6 million for him or something. That was Pleat, wasn't it, that one? But the Francis one, I think it was Paul Worst. Paul Worst had agreed to go to Blackburn.
Blackburn, that was it,
understanding that we signed Brian Dean, which I don't know whether have gone down too well being an ex-Blade anyway. And it didn't come off. So Paul came back. Now, you imagine going to Blackburn with the money they had at the time, agreeing a 3, and I'm guessing it would have been thousands, 6, 7, 8,000, 9,000, 10, maybe 10 grand a week to come back to Wednesday and suddenly the deal's off. You've gone from centre half to centre forward, scored 21 goals in 19 games, and all of a sudden do you know what I mean? So it was, he just didn't, he signed big players, and they were good players. Don't get me wrong, Chris Waddle, probably the best player I think I've played with. And what a great lad. He put Des Walker, Chris Woods, he made Ricks against United and against Arsenal in the cup final. So he just didn't have it with the fans from them moments on, but he was a good keeper. So he brought. I didn't think Sinton was was that good a signing. He just tried to bring in a few names, whereas Ron brought people in he thought would fit into a game plan.
When you say that, do you think that the players that you're listing there and you're talking about, obviously we've talked about Ron and the man management sort of thing. Obviously, there had to be a turnover at some point of that squad, and players coming in and players moving on and players going out. Do you think the players coming in, there was such a clash, and that was the start of the sort of the, not the decline, if you like, but the sort of the fall away from that heady height of winning the league, winning the cup, getting promoted, in 3rd, and then dropping down?
I think it's very difficult, isn't it? Because when you look at the class of '92 at Old Trafford, the nucleus was a foundation, wasn't it? The Beckham, Scholes, Giggs, Butts. I think Wednesday sort of went through too many of the stalwarts too soon, if that makes sense. And when you had a few players in, maybe they didn't fit into the system. The wages all of a sudden escalated to astronomical amounts of money with Carboni and people, the likes of him, moved down the chain a bit. So it's a difficult one. I mean, it's hard to put into words. I obviously moved on with Ron again to Villa that summer, and I was absolutely devastated. I remember bumping into Dave Richards coming out the ground, almost in tears. He said, "What's up?" I said, "Well, I've just signed for Villa." He said, "Why is that?" I said, "Well, we were arguing over 300 quid a week." He said, 300 quid a week? He said, "I'd give you that out of my own pocket." So will you tell me that now? Put pen to paper.
Oh, no.
When I went down there, I just remember walking into the Doug Ellis's office, and Doug Ellis said, "Oh, Mr. King, finally got our man." I went, "Oh, what do you mean, Mr. Ellis?" He said, "Well, we offered 650,000 for you the year that we signed Ron, but they wouldn't accept it." And I didn't even know anything about it.
600. You've gone for some big money, Phil. Bloody hell.
No, they took it. and I ended up going 3 years later for 250. So Ron left to go to Villa. They offered 650, but I don't know if you remember the statement. Trevor said the fans were going mad. I think Pearson went and they said we're not selling anybody else. The fans were just going berserk. They didn't want to get rid of anything, the stalwart players, if you like. So I didn't even get to know that they'd offered that sort of money. It was only when I signed in '94 that I found that out. So, but I was devastated to leave. I had a half decent career at Villa. I scored a penalty against Inter Milan to put us through into the next round. Another story I'll tell about Ron. I was understudy to Steve Staunton at Villa, and he got injured at Everton away. I was on the bench, came on, played the last 35 minutes, with 2 down, set up 2 goals, played the next 3 games. Fans are saying, best signing since Paul McGrath. I'm thinking, you're having a laugh, and you're Paul McGrath, it's God. I played about 18 in a row, scored this penalty, and then we played QPR away. And he's gone through the team. He said, right, Bosnich in goals, Staunton, McGrath, Teal, Barrett, Townsend, Houghton. And I've gone, whoa, Gaffer, what's up? This is in the middle of the team meeting, 2 hours before kickoff. I said, I'm not playing. He said, I know, Kingy. He said it was the hardest decision. I slept on it all night, but I think, I just think Stan Staunton, and maybe, I said, well, I'll tell you what, you can stick your club up your ass. And I got up and I walked out and slammed the door. And I opened the door, I went, only kidding, Gaffer! Down, all the lads went ballistic, laughing and joking. Ron, after he'd gone out the room, Ron pulled me back. He said, Kingy, I love you. You know that, don't you? You're great. That's just the way. Just get on with it.
Is that like? Did you know that you could have pulled that off with Ron? Then the relationship. Because I would imagine if some managers, if someone had done that, they would have just God. You're not coming back in the changing room. That's you gone, or your reserves, your training. Is that what you knew? You knew
well,
you could do that.
I'd like to have done it to Brian Clough, put it like that. But
yeah.
The thing with Brian Little, when Brian came in Villa, he said, King, you're going to be a squad player. And I filtered in that. I went on loan to West Brom, a few games come back. Last game of the season, we needed a point. He said, Kingy, I'm putting you on the bench Saturday, Norwich away for Aston Villa. He said, the lads love you. You're great for the dressing room. You crack a few jokes, relax everybody. We've got to have a point to stay in the Premier League. And I looked at him and said, well, thank you for that, Gaff. He said, I'm not just a court jester, I can play a bit of football. And we had a laugh between us. Do you know what I mean? And we got the point away at Norwich. I played the last 15 minutes, and then he got rid of me next year.
We've had a question actually from Martin Beebe about Villa, and it says, "Did you play in the Villa Cup final winning '94?"
No, I went on loan when Brian came in. I went on loan to West Brom, and I done my crucial leave, and then I did it again, and then I had surgery, and I never played again for Villa for 18 months, and I came back and I went straight back to Swindon Town without playing a game. So. No, I played about 25, 27 games for Villa, and obviously the Inter Milan penalty was the highlight, and you're still fondly remembered there for that moment alone.
It's weird, isn't it? Like how you can get put on a pedestal just for one fleeting moment being a professional footballer.
Crazy.
Okay, so right, we've done 91. We've done Ron Atkinson. So let's talk about the latter days of the career, because it's clear that injuries started to now hamper your career as you're getting on a bit now in in the ripe old age of 27 or something now.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? There must have been a point where you've missed Smudger, who managed to get Roland Nilsson back after 4 months of an ACL, but you've done it twice. So how did that latter period of your career go? Like,
terrible. If I'm honest, I let myself down. I had when you're growing up, you had all the ability and you were fit. So the early days, you never missed a game for Wednesday. I think Swindon, Torquay, Exeter, Swindon, never missed a game in sort of 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, because when I was looking at the stats before you were coming on, you played like 1 million games for Swindon in the space of about 2 years. I don't know how you pulled that amount of appearances as well.
I played 98 games in one season for Swindon. That was league first team and reserves with Lou, just for fitness.
Wow.
Things are going well. It's great. As soon as you get injured, I wasn't the best trainer in dedication-wise. It was kind of all natural. So only myself to blame. So when, nowadays, I get paid so much money, I could say, Steve, I'll give you $1,000 a week. You get me fit. Don't let me sleep. Get me in that gym. You work me. Get me back fit. Whereas in them days, they give you a piece of paper, go on the bike for 10 minutes, 20 sit-ups, 30, but do this and do that, and then they get on the coach and go off to an away game. So as soon as they go off the thing, I go in the canteen, get a cup of tea, get a biscuit, and start watching the telly. Which is not the right thing to do when you're rehabilitated. You don't think, because you're such a bad injury, you got 8 months. I'll do it tomorrow, but tomorrow comes, you do the same again, and then again, and before you know it, you're miles behind schedule. So I didn't rehabilitate myself the way I should have done. So that again, that's my own fault. And when you do come back to get somewhere near, your body's not ready. I kept pulling my calf, my hamstring, my quad. It was just one thing after another. And I think my mental health suffered. Is all I can relate it to is what we've been going through in this last 12 months. That was the way I struggled back then playing football. You see the first team going off playing games, earning the money, getting to cup finals, getting England call-ups. You forget about the lads on the treatment table who just want to play football. I can't put into words how mentally tough it was. And you didn't have the finances like they've got today.
And it's not like you could speak to anybody. I mean, we're talking mid-90s here, aren't we? I mean, it's not like you go, listen, Gaffer, I'm feeling a bit pony. Because I can tell you now what the response would have been. You know what I mean? Yeah.
But if I'd have said to John Shez, my roommate, Shez, I'm feeling a bit down, mate. I feel a bit lonely. Hey, Chris Packett, put your fucking days up, son. You know what I mean? I've just been laughed at. And it's good that we can talk now, and I think it's all sort of relevant with the lockdown, because I've struggled again. I mean, I'm a people person. Academically, I'm not great. It was all about the pub. It was all about working for Swindon Town on a match day, doing the hospitality, sporting dinners in front of 300 people. That was my buzz. It replaced football. To have it taken away from you, to suddenly be in a room with nothing, the pub shut, not seeing people, you can't mix, you can't go out. I've struggled. I really have struggled, and it has been tough. There's been some real low moments. I'm sure people can relate to that. They're listening in, and yourselves up and down the country. It's been a tough time.
Did you feel that and this is what I felt the last year? I don't know if you're the same. Working in a social environment, like everybody has at work, their banter. You know what I mean? All in every work office environment, in pubs, in whatever. I felt like I work in a social environment, and I feel like I lost a bit of my identity. You know what I mean? I felt that what made me, I wasn't there anymore. Is it kind of been like that?
Been probably worse. I just really struggled. I've been to the doctors, with headaches and tension in the back of my neck. Feels like I've got something stuck in my throat. And I've had blood tests, and they've put me on cholesterol tablets. It's been a real. Obviously, you turn to food as a crutch. I love chocolate, any food basically. But it's been a real tough year, and it's only sort of this last 4 or 5 weeks when the pubs are running up out of it. I've done a few podcasts for Exeter and for Torquay and some for Swindon. This tonight, I've got one next week with Alan Biggs, I think, from Alan rang me last week. So it keeps you going. Obviously, my partner, she's downstairs. I've got grandchildren. My daughter's a carer, so we were in the support bubble so we could look after them. They keep you going. But it's been a tough time, for everybody, not just me, but for the whole country.
I'll speak for myself. I don't know about the rest of the guys, but we've done this from lockdown, doing this. And I think we all think talking to yourselves, and obviously something we love, it's helped. It helped me, and I'm no doubt it's helped the other guys and girls on the podcast as well about doing this, being able to talk to heroes of ours, and that's what you are to us lot. Over the last 12 months has been fantastic, and we're really grateful. For me, I am, that we've been able to do this, and everyone, not just yourself, but everyone who's been on, it's been fantastic. And I think what's happened, and for me, it's been brilliant. Really, the social side, talking about something that we all love and reminiscing, and it's been great.
Anything, couldn't it, Ash? I always say, if you're having a low moment, get on social media now, get on YouTube, and type in something that even I'm a bit of a freak. I like X Factor and Pop Idol and American Idol. Go to some of the sort of auditions that you've seen over the years, or go back to the penalty against Inter. Think of something that gives you pleasure, Google it and watch it back, and it just fills you with a little bit of joy. Do you know what I mean? It could be anything. If you like fishing or you like watching gymnastics, or motor racing, anything.
What you're doing here is describing us talking to you guys from
yes.
2021. I mean that.
Steve, the future, Steve, honestly, this is for you guys to remember. I'm just Phil King, a little country bumpkin from Bristol. To play for a wonderful club like Sheffield Wednesday in front of you guys was a privilege. And to be still talking about it now, it means that the first team isn't successful, so it's not too bad. But to see them successful for the younger generation like Ben, to see them play the cup final with Ben's dream, I'm guessing. So get back in the Premier League.
Premier League, genuinely, for anyone sort of my age that's, like 20, probably like 25 and under, the ear's all about this, all about early 90s, stuff like that, Premier League throughout all 1990s. And we've watched League One, Championship. Yeah, we give it a really good go 2015, 16, 17 sort of time. It's an absolute dream to try and just get into the Premier League. And that's for people my age. So,
and don't let that dream go, because you never know. Football's a funny game. It only takes the right team. It's getting harder, I must admit, to produce a Ron Atkinson and a group of players like he did on a fairly small budget. It's getting, you look at Man City, what's their team? Probably £1 billion. So it's buy-in success now. You've got a chairman there who's had the money but not used it wisely. So it's a funny one, isn't it? Football, you don't give up hope, but it may get worse, and it looks like it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Well, go on.
Sorry, I was going to say, right, just on that, would you think that I don't. It's a question for everyone. Sorry, Phil. I'm going to ask. It just comes to me. If say next year or whenever the team Sheffield Wednesday win a trophy, win the FA Cup, win the League Cup, do you think that in 30 years' time, not us because we'll be old men and thing, will the podcasts, or do you think the team will be as fondly remembered? And you and your peers. Do you think they'll still be fondly remembered?
God, that's a good question, Ash.
Sorry, I'm sorry, or do you think it's because we've not had any success for 30 years, basically?
I think the thing that springs to mind instantly is getting access to those players because of the financial rewards that they will gain between now and winning the league, getting the Premier League, winning the cups. I mean, it's like trying to speak to Kevin De Bruyne on one of these. It's just not going to happen, is it? Do you know what I mean? I'm sure.
Now, that would be something to behold. Dan Fudge talking to Kevin De Bruyne.
I mean, for the lads, for all of you and for the younger generation, to see their team win, that all the players of that squad at the time, if they are, would be gods. So in 30 years' time, they would be as fondly thought of as what we are, but you just won't get access to them. It's a totally different era from when we played. I love to do these things. It makes me feel good. Obviously, I hope it makes you feel good. And it's just brilliant. It's something I do. Maybe John Sheridan might say, don't we like doing it? He's a bit shyer than what I am. But, you've had Arksy. Arks an outgoing lad, funny.
No, honestly, he's not changed a bit. He's like a game show host. Do you remember Guy Smiley from Sesame Street? He's like, "Hi guys," you know what I mean? I'm Ed Winchester, all the way through it. It didn't stop.
It was brilliant. Yeah, it was good.
I spoke to him in lockdown. Actually, we FaceTimed each other, and he's exactly the same, isn't it? He's like a Jim Carrey, isn't he?
Yeah.
But that, again, we haven't mentioned Paul Williams. If you talk to Hursty will tell you that he's probably one of the best strike partners he's had. The amount of work rate off the ball allowed Hursty to score his goals. So
that was something that was discussed at that thing at Magna. You are David Garrido on stage going through that season, building up to that cup final, and that was the day where we realised like Paul Williams did a lot of bloody work for David Hurst. And we're all there with Hursty's name on the back of our shirts, but Willow's there doing the bloody graft.
Yeah. Hey, listen, Dan, in every team you've got, your gifted players. I knew that Sheridan was the playmaker. Hursty was the goal scorer. The number 9 is the centre midfield players are always going to get the accolades. It's the same in any team, but we were a team. We had like I say, me and Worthy had a good understanding. Harks and Roland Nilsson, you had Shirtliff and Pearson at the centre half. Hursty and Willow. There was little combinations all over the pitch, but as a group, we came together, you know. So, and there was no sort of big heads. We worked hard. We had a decent bench. We had a guy called Steve McCall on the bench who used to play for. I mean, he was a fantastic player. You know, great football brain. You know, it was Trevor Francis, the wonderful Laurie Madden. You know, we had. I mean, Trevor's one of the best crosser of balls I think you'll ever see at Hillsborough. It's just ridiculous. But it was just. I cannot tell you what a privilege it was to be part of that at that time. It just finished a little bit too soon for me, unfortunately.
I think Roland Nilsson said exactly the same. So listen, I'm going to wrap this up now, Phil. But what I'm going to do, and I want to really genuinely mean this. We've got a comment from Martin as well. The stuff about the mental health and the stuff like that, getting into it. I must admit, I think it's amazing that it's been brought up and football's an environment that doesn't really create the opportunity to speak about something like that. And I think it's really important, and I genuinely mean it. Thanks a lot for bringing that up. And in other news, unfortunately, Darren Moore has been, as a result of COVID-19, has been taken ill once again. So from everybody, on behalf of ourselves, let's hope the gaffer gets well soon. And Phil, stay on the line. I'm going to take us off Facebook. Thanks a lot for watching out there. This has been brought to you by Michael Constantine Wealth Management. Don't forget to join us again. We'll probably do a post game on Saturday. See you next time.
The Wednesday week is sponsored by Michael Constantine Wealth Management. We bet you can't find a financial advisor closer to Hillsborough Stadium.